So, you've got this incredibly powerful GPU, right? But you're looking at your code's performance and thinking, wait, why isn't this running anywhere near as fast as the spec sheet promised? Well, you are definitely not alone. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to demystify the magic of GPU performance. We'll be moving step by step from theoretical models all the way down to the hardware architecture, and finally into practical, real-world coding optimizations. By the end of this, we're going to unpack exactly what is holding your computations back, and more importantly, how to fix it.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the underlying need for speed, figure out how to measure arithmetic intensity, check out the roofline model, dive into the GPU memory hierarchy, analyze the matrix multiplication kernel, and finally, speed the whole thing up with blocking. Let's jump in.
Section 1. The fundamental tension of computing, moving data versus actually processing it.
Okay, so we measure a processor's speed in flops, which stands for floating point operations per second. You can think of this as the raw computational muscle of your machine. It's literally the sheer volume of math, like additions or multiplications, that it can execute every single second. It's like a hyper-fast mathematical factory.
But here's the jarring reality of it. An operation sitting right there in a register takes just one single cycle to execute. Super fast, right? But fetching data from main memory, that takes about 200 cycles. This creates what we call a massive memory wall. Our incredibly fast processors are basically forced to sit there completely idle, just twiddling their thumbs, waiting for raw materials to arrive via a painfully sluggish, congested highway.
So how do we actually diagnose this highway traffic problem? That brings us to Section 2, measuring arithmetic intensity.
Arithmetic intensity acts exactly like a budget. It's a simple formula. Total computations divided by the total amount of data transferred in bytes. It tells us exactly how many mathematical operations we are buying for every single byte of data we drag across that slow memory highway.
Let's look at a really basic example, an array multiply-add function. When we do the math here, the ratio is honestly pretty grim. We perform just two operations, a multiply and an add, but to pull that off, we have to load two 8-byte values and store one 8-byte value. That is 24 bytes of traffic in total. So that gives us an arithmetic intensity of 2 over 24, or 1/12.
To put that into plain English, we are spending 24 bytes of bandwidth just to squeeze out two measly mathematical operations. Our communication highway is completely choked, while the processor itself is literally starving for work. We're spending way too much time communicating and not nearly enough time computing. And folks, that is the textbook definition of a bottleneck.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 3. Let's visualize this exact bottleneck using the roofline performance model.
You can think of this graph as the architectural blueprint of our hardware's physical limits. On the vertical axis, we've got our attainable flops, our speed. And on the horizontal axis, that's our arithmetic intensity. Now, if your program is stuck under that slanted roof on the left, you are what we call memory bound. Your performance is entirely dictated by how fast you can transfer data. But if we can boost our arithmetic intensity and push our data over to the right, we cross that inflection point. We hit the flat roof. That means we are purely compute-bound, finally operating at the peak processing speeds the hardware was actually built for.
Section 4. The GPU memory hierarchy. Because to climb up that slanted roof, we really have to understand where our data lives.
The cool thing is, as programmers, we don't have to be passive observers. A GPU is organized into grids, blocks, and threads, and we can actually dictate where our data goes. If we're smart about it, we can deliberately move our data far away from those distant, off-chip global memory pools and place it directly into the localized, high-speed zones right inside the blocks themselves. When you break down these different memory types side by side, shared memory instantly stands out as our absolute hero. Why? Because unlike that sluggish off-chip global memory, shared memory is on-chip. Plus, it's accessible to all the threads within a single block. It is quite literally the perfect, high-speed bypass to get us around that congested global memory highway. All right, moving on to Section 5. Let's investigate a prime suspect for poor optimization, the matrix multiplication kernel. Here is the trap a lot of people fall into. When we lazily port a standard nested-loop matrix multiplication straight from a CPU mindset over to a GPU, the results are, well, they're disastrous. If we examine what's happening in the GPU kernel, every single thread is making that agonizing 200-cycle trip to global memory for every single piece of data inside that loop.
The numbers here yield a pretty devastating conclusion. Our theoretical peak throughput on this hardware is 530 gigaflops. But because we are constantly bottlenecked by those global memory reads, pulling in heavy loads just to do minimal math, our actual yield chokes all the way down to a measly 44.25 flops. We are operating nearly 12 times below peak performance. We are stuck way, way down on the slanted roof of our performance model. But don't worry, we're going to fix it. Section 6, speeding up with blocking.
To completely escape that memory wall, we use a brilliant technique called data blocking or tiling, and it's highly strategic. Step 1, we load our data into our hero shared memory. Step 2, we partition that global data into bite-sized, perfectly fitting tiles. And step 3, we unleash multiple threads to reuse that exact same data repeatedly. This means we entirely avoid the slow global highway for the bulk of our math.
And guys, here is the massive payoff. By utilizing a 16 by 16 tile loaded right into shared memory, we grab that block just one time, and then 256 threads get to use it over and over again for their dot products. This immediately reduces our global memory loads by a factor of 16. That's huge. This massive reduction in data traffic launches our arithmetic intensity straight up the roofline graph, right toward that sweet, compute-bound peak.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take a hard look at your own hardware-aware programs. The principles of arithmetic intensity and the roofline model don't just apply to matrix math, right? Ask yourself, where else in your code are you starving your processors by overusing the slow global highway? And more importantly, where can you construct a high-speed shared memory bypass to unlock the true power of your machine? Keep exploring, keep optimizing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.